everywhere. Especially if it's linked to domestic violence, because now you've got a security risk. Where do you put people? Where are you going to start? Where will you start?
I'll just give you an example talking about safe housing. So we have this family. She's a victim of domestic violence with 2 kids. We removed her from the place she was living. She packed her bag with the kids and see you later. So we found her housing.
The same within 2 days.
Within 2 days.
She was inside.
But it was very interesting because the service is so confidential. I know where she lives. Because of security reasons, I don't have her address recorded in any document, because if her ex-husband subpoenas, put legal documents that I have to review where she is, even the police has to do it. So it happened last week that this person came to Exodus, and her real estate, that is a Coptic fellow too, was right next to her, and he had no idea who she was. Why? Because we were able to keep everything very safe and confidential. That's why we say that sadly, there's a lot of people around us that you have no idea the life they're living. You don't know if they're suffering from domestic and family violence or mental illness, or even if they're homeless or they're 1 or 2 paychecks from being homeless.
Yeah, the dignity of people. That's really important. The humanity of people, the spirit of people. And for them to know that each and every one of us also have a brokenness about our own life. So you're not special. We are, our baseline is that we're all broken. All of us. So yours is that story, ours is this story. But you're no less than us. We are you. And that really helps us a lot.
Yeah, and it gives us, I think, working in this field, empathy, compassion, and being humble. If you don't have this, you can't do this work. And also, if you start judging people.
Yeah, that's the big one, actually.
And we discuss this very often. Doesn't matter your religion. The common denominator is compassion, empathy, love, being open, not judging. And that's what I think we try to do. Any questions on why do you think someone ends up on the street? What are the main?
Can I ask a slightly
Please?
different question? It's going to show my ignorance in this matter.
No, please.
Like I heard recently from like a stat from the theological college that the proportion of Coptic people that come to church is not as much as I thought it was. So when you say that Coptic people, like in my mind Coptic people, they're all same arcs or same, Abelsfred, and that's it, But when you say there are Coptic people that, require these services or end up in that situation, do you mean it could be someone among us here, or people that are so disconnected from the community?
Both.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Both. And you won't hear it from us. In fact, there might be people. Our skin is very thick, so we might go to a church, and one of our clients are we will deliberately not even notice them, and there'll be no connection, so that no one else will know.
Yeah, it's
so
very
we think,
normal.
no one really loves us,
But it's even it's almost an agreement that we can have with a client of, look, if I see you in public or in a social setting, if you approach me, it's all right, but I will ignore you so you're not targeted or whatever,
If they come to us, that's a different thing, but we won't. Yeah. And let's be honest, every family's got something. So let's not call the kettle black. And I think the judgment thing, and it's a big thing. If you can't serve everyone, if you're, I can serve these people but not those people, or this person but not that person, there's a conflict inside. You have to overcome that. And, every person on the street will have a story. But who are we to judge? It actually it's just the grace of God. It's them and not us that we're there, and they're there and we're not, and it can happen in a heartbeat. Years ago, when I was doing outreach in the city, we used to be out the front of St Andrew's Cathedral, and it was really late at night, and a guy was singing hymns, like really beautiful hymns, Indigenous guy. And I was sort of used to see him every week and got to know him really well. And then one day I just said, listen, how come you know all these hymns? I certainly don't know them. He said, let me tell you, I was once a priest. Anglican priest. And then he went down the road of alcoholism, lost his family and a lot of stuff. But gosh, when he prayed, he prayed. You don't know.
I think like the other side of it, like at least from my personal experience, is when you kind of get like a little whiff of it, I kind of just feel like, okay, it's maybe that's the judgmental side, but I kind of feel like it's none of my business. You know, I'm sure someone close to them is in with it. Like if they're sitting next to me and I hear a phone call and like they're really loud and like, okay, this sounds pretty rough. You know, hey, is everything all right, man? Yeah, it's all good. And like I just assume like I don't want to embarrass the person. I don't want to bring it up. Maybe there's someone that's closer to them that knows that's sorting this out. You know, I'll just stay back. So I don't know. Is that like probably use the wrong approach, but like how can I overcome that?
God, there's so many strategies.
Yeah. In that case, you also don't want to embarrass the person. Depends. I mean, a homeless person also. In my experience, I would not approach out of the blue because maybe the guy, why are you approaching me? There's another 270 on the street. I mean, what have I done? Because they, let's say the police, all the time on top of them, blah, blah, blah. If it's someone you see very often and you see when you're grabbing your coffee or whatever it is, I think it gets more, a little bit easier, you know, a little bit softer. Otherwise, the guy can even get a little bit paranoid and say, what have I done?
Yeah. We were talking in our group about learning not to talk, which is a big thing for me, notorious. Learning to sit with silence and learning to just get your tea, get whatever, and sit with them on the gutter. And don't say anything. Just sit there too. Because if you truly believe that you are broken, then a moment of silence is not so bad. And you'll find them speaking to you, but it might be a 10-minute gap or a 15-minute gap. And we get really anxious, stuff with, things like that, us on the outside. But people on the street, you can hang for hours and not say anything. Share a meal. There's a real culture out there, and it's not all about talking. So learn to absorb what's in front of you. And who are we to speak anyway? Like, who are we to speak? Listen. That's the best advice I was ever given, even in mission. Like, don't say too much. You're not coming with some great, we're going to fix your life overnight stuff. It's like, no, listen. And that's hard. It's very hard. Yeah.
Questions from the back? People hiding on the back there? Any questions?
One question.
Yes, please. No, there's no silly questions here.
Is this all over Australia or is it just
I'm thanking God of COVID. Seriously. Like, we're having Zoom. It's already in London. It's been there a couple of years. It's been in South Africa for a very, very long time.
So it's not just Australia?
No, we have Zoom meet. Canada wants it. America wants it. Egypt. Just before COVID, I was in Egypt preparing that pipeline to open.
New Zealand.
New Zealand. We're dying in New Zealand. The Coptic Church in New Zealand, my goodness. And it's not church service. We're not talking, church service, we're okay and we do what we can, but we're not reaching beyond that. And if people are beyond that, calling them back into a meeting, it's too late. And New Zealand has its own issues because you guys fit into looking like Maori community because of your colour. And our youth are getting into that area, really rough areas at times, and the parents and the church are not coping very well. Yes.
Yeah,
So
I mean, of course.
I'm scared of any number that's from overseas at the moment.
Yeah.
I tend to ditch it. It's like-
We have liturgy at Exodus, but we're not specialized on that. We are the social services arm of the. We try to be of the Coptic community,
Yeah.
and that's why sadly there's one of us and there's a million of you. So,
Yeah. And I'll tell you a funny story that happened this week, and it's happened before. And why would I want to tell you this? It's like maybe I just want to get it off my chest. Maybe that's why.
get
So
ready.
I was talking to this woman for about 2 years, not in Sydney, so in rural Australia. And she's Coptic. So someone gave her the number of Exodus because of her kids in that rural area. All three are mixed up in drugs. And of course they don't go, they're Australian. They're Egyptian, but they're Australian. So she was ringing me, and I do speak Arabic, and sometimes I'm a bit accommodating. And maybe I misled this poor woman, thinking I might have been Egyptian. So anyway, she got to Sydney this week. So
She saw the white ghost.
just before, yes, I'm known as the White Ghost. So just before she comes to Exodus, she rings and says, I'm in Sydney and I need to see someone and my kids, and it's this wretched country. So I thought, all right, yep, it is. Yep, it's a wretched country. And excuse me, madam, were your 3 kids born here? Oh, yes, in this wretched country. They definitely were born in this wretched country. And they're wretched Australian friends. I'm thinking, oh, no, this is not going to go well. And so they're Australian. Yes, but you know our culture. We won't ever accept it. You know what we're like, you know, our culture, and you're a parent. And I'm going, yep. Oh, dear, and it's getting worse and worse and worse. So when she came in the first time, I thought I better keep a low profile. I didn't go downstairs. And then she said, oh, I want to see Deb, Oh, no,
Why?
Deb's busy. So she went away, came back the next day, and there was an issue. So I had to go downstairs, and I think she took one look at me and nearly fainted. Oh, you're Australian. So, yes, the wretched country. So, but, you know, that's the beauty of... I don't know, Christ is everything to all people. She was completely, definitely Coptic person. And we've got Muslims that it doesn't matter to them that we're Christian. It's like we have to be all things to all people at all times. No one ever thinks he's Egyptian with a name like Pablo. But a lot of our people demand Pablo because... for that reason, like we have to be all things to all people.
I mean,
He's not Coptic, obviously.
That's the luxury of being, let's say, neutral, because I don't have, my cousins are not Minas, Kiras, Marinas.
If he meets another Corollas this week,
I'll have a
He's
heart
like,
attack.
"What?
If I
You
meet
people have
another
any other name?"
Salib, another Bichet. Yeah. I think it's very interesting, this case, because I'm not related to anyone. So I'm not your cousin, I'm not your brother, I'm not, you know, so it's go, yeah, Pablo, just look for Pablo. Just sort your life.
but part of our people won't see Coptic people, by the way. They'll want non-Egyptians, and then it comes into handy. That comes in handy for that reason. So I think going out to the street, I think you have to drop your persona. I really think you have to be all things to all people. You have to be a Roman to the Roman and a Greek to the Greek. Of course, you're doing this for a reason, but that is your reason. And you want to share goodness and love, and there is a source. But there's something to it. And it means you've got to get uncomfortable. You have to have, you're no longer who you think you are. You have to be what God wants you to be to that person. He pulls it off all the time. People think, oh, he must be Coptic. No, he's not. No. But
And-
it's that compassion that covers all those things up. And it doesn't matter. It does not matter if your name is Muhammad or if it's Simon or if it's... It shouldn't matter. You shouldn't look at that, you know?
That's why when you guys go out, if you go out with the sleeping bags, I don't know who is going out, how you're organizing this, but doesn't matter. Even if you just see a homeless person, first rule, don't judge. You don't know the backstory, you don't know the background. Usually you're going to be seeing someone with a multitude of issues, starting from trauma, abuse, neglect, domestic violence, mental illness, and maybe one thing caused the other. Okay, so don't judge ever. I'm not saying that you have to go out and give money to everyone, you know, but at least don't look at them with pity, you know.
Yeah, pity's
just respect. There's no shame.
And you'd be surprised who will approach you. You know, we've got a guy called Ali, and he lives in Parramatta. Doesn't live, he's a homeless guy. His father's a psychiatrist.
He's studying the most expensive school, private school in Sydney, $50,000 a year. Mental illness, family breakdown, that's it. See you later.
And
he was with the elite of the elite, that college in...
Yeah.
It was like Double Bay or whatever, around there, Vaucluse.
Yeah. You just never know who you're talking to. Doctors will be on the street. Priests.
Yeah, so we know nothing. We're still learning.
Yeah.
I think that's the fascinating thing of social services and social work is we get excited, I think, with new ways of doing things, new approaches on how to serve better, and doesn't matter who.
And Google homelessness. I mean, I can give you heaps and heaps of numbers, but go home and read it over the weekend. You will be shocked who's out there. And with COVID at the moment, people are living, for the last year, living together with people they don't like. And domestic violence is spiking. Like, we are definitely not coping with it. We can't cope with the numbers, even from our own community.
With domestic violence, how prominent do you find it in our community?
Sorry. So I shouldn't be laughing.
No. Well, I escaped early to go to one case, a substance abuse case. At 5:30, I got a domestic violence call. And we're heading into the weekend, which to me is like we're heading into, this is going to be a bad one. This weekend will be bad. It's all the time.
What I see is not, if you get a proportion of the community that is going to be a victim of domestic and family violence, it's across every community. If it's like 10%, you're going to have then the Coptic, on the Muslim, Catholic, whatever it is. What we see now, there's not more cases of domestic violence, there's more awareness, okay? And now it's a very positive thing over the last, I think, 2 or 3 years. We're talking about domestic family violence. We're talking about spiritual abuse. We're talking about digital abuse. There's people in this community that, like the lady, the woman that we help with the 2 kids that's living with us, she was not allowed to go to church.
Wasn't allowed to have communion.
Imagine if I tell you, let's say, that your wife, for a reason or another, were not allowed to come to church, ever.
Or husbands that will sit in on confession.
Well, we've seen everything.
Well, it's either that or you get nothing. Demiana. Because he's trying his best to keep the family in the church and to keep an eye on things. It's really easy to have that reaction and to think, oh, what about the priest? But we're not in that position. It might be the only opportunity for him to make sure that she's okay. There's always a reason. There's always a reason. Always a reason.
And also there's more, I mean, we done it, spoke about this with my group 2 years ago. We trained here in one of the rooms here. I think
that's true.
18 priests,
Coptic priests
on how to report domestic family violence during confession.
Which was the only time
The government trained priests
in Australia.
in Australia,
Not Coptic.
ever in Australia.
Clergy. And it happened February 2020, just before.
Before COVID hit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we were able, it took 6 months. It took 6 months of having maneuvering and politics and whatever
on both sides.
to get this done. And sadly, we're still waiting for the next one. But I think the priests in this community then getting more aware of.
Yeah. They've been under terrible stress and pressure and situations for years, and we didn't know.
Well, I said to Pablo earlier that Bruno Reiser is one of, I know 5 doctors that we have that are priests.
Yeah.
Bruno Reiser is one, Bruno Dan, Bruno Paul.
Abona Sam.
Yeah, he works very closely. I tell you, it's absolutely magnificent that we have priests that are GPs, because some of our people that are, they're on, coming out of rehab or substance abuse issues, at least we have priests that are GPs. Gee, they take the confession and write the prescription. It's great. It's great.
2 in 1.
It's wonderful. We love it. We love it. But, here's a story. That call that I got at 5:30, that girl is Coptic. She was homeless when she was 14. Homeless for weeks on end. Weeks. She used to live on the train with her boyfriend. And people go, what, Coptic girl? Yep. Family breakdown, no male figure in the role model. Someone moves in on her, and just it's been 3 years of hell, absolute hell, and it's spiking this weekend. Today.
Yeah, another chapter.
Today, and we're talking. I've been in the room where that guy tried to take the gun off a female policewoman. There was a sting, and we were involved. And he didn't care. He was going to shoot someone that day. That's how dangerous this guy is. And that girl is only 17 at the moment. And she's so tough. She's just amazing. So,
Quick question. Two quick questions. The first is just logistically, there's limited resources and effectively unlimited sort of problems. And so is it first come, first serve, or is it based off of need if that one resource can be given to 2 different people?
I think
answer that and then I'll answer it.
If you ask me, depends on the seriousness of the case, too, and if there's more than one first. So risk. If we're talking about domestic family violence, always is safety of women and children. Doesn't matter what we have to do, we remove them. If we have to go with the police, that is very fun. We do it. Very fun. I love that. For me, not for them. But it's always, I think, trying to mitigate risk is a very open question. But so if we have women and children involved first, if we have to allocate resources, it's going to be for them first. And then everyone else, they'll come and we can cover. But if at any time we can't serve them immediately, we can link them to any other organization, and they're going to be supported somehow.
But all the organizations are just passing people around. They
Yeah,
really
it happens a lot.
we try not to say no. We'll try our very best. And I get people into trouble because it's like, no, we have to do this. It's like, but we don't have enough people.
Debbie is the master. Is a
yeah.
master doing that. There you go.
I go,
There
yep.
you go. There you go.
And that lady that has the 2 kids that we were mentioning, she fled. So we pulled her out, and we actually were putting her into a hotel for a couple of days. But within the second day, someone rang, and there was a discussion, where we're going to put her. So don't worry about it. God will provide.
Yeah.
And poor Pablo gets shocked many times. You can tell the rest of them.
Manna from heaven. It's ridiculous.
Literally, someone rings and says, I've got a flat. You know, I can't give it to you for free, but do you need a flat right now? It's like, yes. And when she entered that flat, and it was owned by a Coptic person, but it had been empty for a long
It
time.
was an icon. I was like, what? You know, I brought her in. I didn't know
It
the
was
owner
Pope Carolus.
I didn't know the owner was Coptic, and there's an icon, and she's looking at me, I'm looking at her. I don't know who's more shocked. We go like, are there any cameras here? Is this an
He came back saying,
experiment?
you'll never guess who was there. That picture, you know, that old guy. Yeah.
Look,
It happens all the time.
If we had a camera, filming Deb and her interactions and her chats, you know that, and we go, Deb, we're running out of money.
We need a washing machine.
We need a washing machine. We're running out of money. Someone calls her, hey Deb, look, I'm giving a washing machine.
On point.
Yeah, no, it's.
Yeah. He
I
can't
seen these.
explain it.
I've been at Exodus for almost 7 years. I've seen these
Every day.
dozens and dozens and dozens of times.
And ridiculous.
If you
things.
don't believe in miracles, spend a week with us. You're gonna see what happens.
Yeah. And if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. But it is. I mean, I like being uncomfortable. I like,
Challenges.
yeah. And if you really want to see the face, it's getting out of the boat. In the boat's really, this is comfortable. Get out of the boat where you can't walk on water and watch him perform. He will deliver. So it's a real challenge to young people. Just get out there and just trust he will be there. He is there. That's where he is. He's in the gutter. He's in the, boats are not built to stay in harbour. They're supposed to go outside. Get out where it's really rough. Get out. And you will see his face. You will see him.
No, and first of all, if you're here, spending your time talking to, actually listening to extremely white people on a Friday night, it means you're doing something right, because you want change. You want something to change, and you want to serve. You want to do the right thing. It doesn't matter what it is. It starts very, very small. It's just an act. Yeah, very, very simple.
There's a question.
Sorry, forgive me for
No,
my
please.
ignorance. I don't really know much about Exodus's role, but you said that there were a lot of different reasons why someone could be homeless, right?
Yeah.
And so, including mental illness, etc. So, if someone has a mental illness, no matter how long you put them in a home, they've still got the illness, right?
Mhm.
So it's sort of like you're just treating the symptom of them being outside of the home.
Yeah,
So
correct.
you refer them to a psychiatric service.
Yes, that's it.
He spends most of his time.
Yeah, I love the people at St. George and Sutherland Mental Health. They love me. They don't know if I'm a patient or if I'm a worker. Hey, you're here again. Yeah, the coffee is there.
He's not in
Take
the office.
Take your medication. Yeah. Yeah, your medication. No, I'm a worker. Okay, that's all right. No. I mean, there's because Exodus is such, I think, organic and holistic organization. So that you're saying is pure case management. Okay, so anyone, my friend here walks in and says, I'm crazy. No, you're not crazy. I'm homeless. I suffer from depression. I was abused, trauma, neglect, whatever it is. It's very important always to remember who is going to guide our service delivery is the client. We can't force. There's something we call self-determination. It's your right of doing what you want to do, okay? So let's say you walk in, and I'll tell you, this other services that we can offer. We can link you with the mental health department, with a psychiatrist. You need housing, we can get you this. And we go to even to the extremes of like you think that fitness is your thing, we can link you with education, we can link you, you need childcare, you need a job. So the amazing thing of Exodus and the connection of the community with Exodus, that we can mobilize the community very fast. So if you tell me you need a fridge and Deb doesn't get the divine call in 30 seconds, I can call and literally call out and say, guys, I need a fridge.
We'll get 4.
Yeah, no, it's ridiculous.
Crazy.
The Coptic community, when it's mobilized like that, when it's integrated,
It's very generous, as
Very.
you've seen.
so
Fully $12,000.
so the main thing that we had to do with someone that is overcome by so many issues is we try to break down the issues, okay? And we try to tackle the most severe first. Let's say, I'll say housing first. Second is, you need access to Centrelink, GP, mental health, and it goes from there. But this engagement can take months or years because, as I was discussing with the group, sometimes the person is not ready the first time. We have a lot of clients, one that came yesterday, been engaged with us for 3 years, and it's the third time he comes to Exodus. Basically, it's like now gonna overcome everything. You know what I mean? And we don't say no. And who's the guilty party?
I'm hated for it.
No, it's very. I mean, we don't do this kind of work because we make millions of dollars, but it brings a lot of.
It's a good place to work.
It's an amazing. The coffee's good. If you want to have a coffee, someone donated a great coffee machine, so come for a latte any day.
And homeless people do come to us,
Yeah.
even from the salvos. They'll come because we've got really good coffee. It's very strange.
And I'd say something is very. I mean, we're used to it, but there's some people that just visiting or whatever, and then some guy that looks a little bit rough walks in, opens the fridge, and grabs the milk and walks away. And someone comes, hey, someone just walked in and stole some milk. No, it's for everyone. It's just another day.
Say that some of the youth here also
Still milk?
at Sutherland or Central Hospital as well.
Yeah.
And
I mean, we see how important it is. We now because of Corona last year, all the meetings when they moved to Zoom online, so they're bloody
Yeah.
boring. But connecting
That's sweet.
connecting with people, with the community, and with the services is okay. I'll talk. There you go. What I was saying? The milk.
I guess you're gonna have a sense of humor in this.
Oh, it's terrible.
No,
Oh, we have to put disclaimers out. Anyone that starts new, it's like, I'm sorry. It's very dark humour.
Yeah, no, there's a rule at Exodus between midday and 1 upstairs.
Don't say too much.
Yeah, that's it.
We have to accommodate. We have to accommodate him.
Are you recording this?
it's been straight live.
Oh, okay.
Kiro's watching.
I'm fired.
But it's important. It is important that we are in a good mood as much as we can, because the people we're working with are not having a good life.
Yeah.
So it has to be like that. It must be. Must be.
Is that one of your coping mechanisms?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Boy, I couldn't tell you what happened today. I couldn't.
Kira Salib said that we had a couple of months ago, we had a meeting with the minister
Oh, yeah.
responsible for the domestic and family violence, and I went there, and I was all ruh. And after the meeting, Kira goes, "Who is this guy? Who are you again?" No, so we have to adapt. When
Yeah. But we
When-
can do street work really well. Like,
but
I like
when we
street
have
work.
to be serious, where we're
Yeah.
very serious, and we push back, we have to, good balance.
That minister was blown away that we operate on almost 100% donations.
Yeah.
He was like, that's unheard of. What do you mean? Like he was like, oh, if you don't think it's, give us some money.
So why, like?
Oh, why?
sorry
This
to
is the
get
big
into
question.
that,
Yes, why? We're not big enough. We are up against Salvation Army that have been around since Australia basically was up and running. Headspace gets, I think, $40 million a year, and they refer people
To us.
us.
Yeah.
Because all our counselling is free. It is. And they don't have the capacity for the country. So we get calls all the time. It's like, but you've got the 40 million.
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
The problem what happened with the funding model a couple of years ago, instead of the government give money, instead of giving money to a lot of small organizations, small and big, they said, let's give money to 5, 6 organizations. So 99% of the fundings go to very big, Uniting Church, Salvation Army, Wesley Mission.
A lot of organisations closed at that time.
Yeah.
I think we lost about 5 around us. And I was always hoping for government money. But when the money dried up, we were still there. And it's like, oh, I see, God had us covered. It's all right, we don't need the government. We do get grants, like you get 10,000, you might get, I think
Yeah,
the
but
biggest one
it's-
was about 50, but it's specific.
You
You've got to buy
have to
5
s-
computers.
You have
Doesn't
to
house
spend.
people.
You have to spend
know?
money specifically.
Yeah.
You can't pay salaries.
No.
So if you say you're going to have a program for seniors, let's say you can only spend with programs and food, you can't pay staff.
Yeah.
So
But we're not in, like, God provides, like, that's not we're not complaining. No. And if it doesn't come in, it's a good thing to say, well, it doesn't come in, we're not supposed to be in that space for that time.
Yeah.
And like yourselves, like, you have a desire to go to the homeless, you raise the money, you go. Our community is very generous, and they are heartfelt, genuine people. They really are. And just put a call out and see where it takes you. It's amazing. I don't want government money. I like that. I like being poor. It's good. It's good. We don't worry. And you will not worry. You need it, it'll be there. That's all. And that's the work of the church, really. And we were saying that the other day. The majority of organisations in this country are religiously based organisations. Put that in a grant, you will definitely not get the money. How's that? But they're the majority,
yeah.
are religiously based, but they're not getting the money. So something's right. Yeah. Yeah. Any more questions? Homelessness.
Has there ever been a time you didn't have the resources to help someone out?
Yeah, today. Yeah.
And so, like, how do you deal with that? What do you say to those?
We can refer to another organisation, or we can do whatever we can, and we hope for the best. I think we're up to about, how many social workers? I've forgotten now. How many all up? Maybe 8, maybe?
Yeah.
I could do with another 8 today, easily.
Well, since you're live streaming, just a Hail Mary thing. What's the resource? What's the
Oh, they'll
resource?
come. What's it? Build and they'll come?
Yeah.
It'll come. Yeah.
You were talking earlier about homeless service and how we need to make ourselves uncomfortable and put ourselves out there and talk to people. Yep. But as a 22-year-old girl, sometimes to do that could be compromising my safety in a sense. So to what extent do I kind of say, okay, I'm in the city at 7 p.m. after work, I'm going to talk to these homeless people even though it might be unsafe, and I'm just going to trust that God will protect me in this circumstance?
Yeah, I mean, wisdom has to be part of that, absolutely. And it wouldn't hurt to find some training and bring people in and get a bit of basic skills for this sort of work. Common sense, you know, don't find yourself alone in an alley. Take them into McDonald's and sit there. If something goes wrong, someone's going to call the police.
But
So there, yeah.
But even simple, I mean, as a start, it just if you walk past the guy, the girl, every day, hey, good morning, whatever, you know, simple, like you do, you should do with everyone, if you could. Usually not in a big town like this, you know. And I used to be a courier. I used to work in the city. I used to know every homeless people there because I was walking around and driving around everywhere, and it happens naturally. After a while, you're chatting with the guy, you know, and he's opening up. So I think it's harder to try to force the situation, to make it happen. I mean, flow naturally. I think it's gonna happen. Let's say if you work in the city and you walk past someone, you know, hey, how are you? That's it. I think if all of a sudden, imagine first time you see the person, you sit down right next to they're
Yeah.
gonna be like, who are you?
Even a normal person would be
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, take it slow. Take people with you.
Yeah.
Mm.
That's not all part of your work though, is it? Like dealing with homeless people, like
Nah, there's one off.
you don't have to go to the city and like, you know, talk to homeless people.
No, I like hanging out in South Africa personally. I hang
it's
hang
more-
out
It's
with.
more
It's crazy.
Oh,
It's
that-
crazy.
that's-
That's crazy. Yeah.
That's a different
And
world.
COVID has, for the first time in my life, I've been home for a whole year. Like I'm the crazy person. It's
Can you imagine Deborah walking around on the slums of South Africa?
but it's nice. He's a bit too normal. No, we do lots of other things.
Yeah. I mean, as I was saying, it's so hard to separate one thing from the other. So the problems, they always come in, it come in droves. So mental illness usually comes linked to abuse, neglect, domestic violence. So
They all come together.
they always come together.
They do.
It's I think it's almost impossible. I don't remember seeing someone that is homeless say,
I'm just homeless.
I'm just homeless.
Yeah.
Nah, that you're gonna have substance or alcohol abuse because of depression, trauma. So it goes like that. Yeah.
And I think the best thing you can do is get educated. Like read as much as you can about the homelessness in this city and find what's behind it and understand drug use and understand mental health a little bit better, and that will help you navigate the waters.
And you
Yeah.
stop judging, you know, because no one wakes up in the morning and say, I'm gonna shoot heroin just because it's
Yeah.
fun. Nah. There's always something else.
Or I'll be a prostitute today. No one
Yeah.
wakes up, that's my aim. It's
And-
just
and we
they
had
find
people-
themselves there.
And we supported a couple of ladies in this community that were sex workers. Yeah, what a surprise. It happens to...
There is nothing that you could suggest that is not in our community. Just try us.
Yeah.
Throw something at us. It's all there, all of it. And they are I mean, you know, you mentioned sex workers. They are the nicest. You know, there was a girl working in a place and we knew about it and it took 2 years to crack. And she has a saint's name. And she's so beautiful. So beautiful.
And not
Her
only
s-
that, you can't tell.
No.
Sorry, she could
No.
be
Any
other,
one of you.
anyone. And you'll never know. She may be sitting around here.
Yeah, and she actually, I go now when I give talks at some parishes, I see her in the crowd, and it's like there's a, you know, that's it.
Yeah, we keep it like that.
Yeah. And she serves. She serves. She serves now. She does work for us. She's a volunteer, and you would never know. And she has been homeless. She's lived in her car. She's been beaten up. Oh, terrible, terrible times. Terrible. Substance abuse, but you couldn't tell now. No. And that's the thing. It may take years. Don't think you're going to step out and someone's going to, and it came up when we were doing the workshop. You're in it for the long haul. Time doesn't exist. It's 40 years in the wilderness, and they're relapsing the whole time. Look at the book of Exodus. They're relapsing the whole time. It's a 3-month journey. From A to B, it's the 3 months, but it took them 40 years because they just kept falling back into bad habits. So if you're going to step out into this sort of work, don't expect it. I expect nothing. Nothing. And if anything comes, oh great, that's lovely. But you're called to be compassionate. You're called to be Christ to the world. For us, that's your passport. That's all you have to do. Don't worry about the outcome. Just do the right thing, and He will do everything. And you will see wonders, wonders, wonders. Wonders. The gospel is being written every day, and it's in your hands. There's 4 gospels: Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. People like me didn't even know it existed. The 5th gospel has your name on it. You may be the only gospel of goodness or of love, unconditional love, that people may bump into. You're it. And there's no room for judgment. There's no room for discrimination. None. I had it happened this year. We have servants come from different parishes of ours, and we have a big wall of photographs, and we have many Muslim women with the hijab on, and they come in and we know them very well. And she said, "Oh, you serve these people?" "These people?" I said, "Yes." I was having a bad day, so it wasn't a good day. And she said, "These people?" I said, "Yes, absolutely these people." She goes, "So my donation is going to go to them?" I said, "Yes." And she said, "I won't donate." I said, "Good. Do you want a cup of tea?" That happened this year. It's like, aren't they the ones that were supposed to, you think there's any difference between you and her just because you were born in a Coptic family and she wasn't? That could be you. Like this, it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous, and it's not Christian. So I didn't take her money, and I have sent a $2,000 check back because it had "don't spend it somewhere." And I needed the money, but I thought, no, I cannot do that. So that's what Christ would do, would He not eat with those people? And who are the lepers of today? Well, doctors, when was the last time you saw Hansen's disease? It's leprosy. It's leprosy. Demiana. So when was the last time? Probably not in this city. It's up in the Northern Territory amongst Indigenous people. The lepers of today are us and our weaknesses and those people that no one wants to eat with. These are your lepers of today, and that's where you're supposed to be. And you don't catch it because your immune system's really good with leprosy, by the way. If your immune system's good, you don't catch it. And guess what? That's with everything. Look after yourself by doing what you have to do and learn to do right and be strong, and then go. And it's not a choice. Go therefore is a commandment. It might be to Africa, it might be to New Zealand, it might be to Asia, it might be down the road, it might be in the city. Don't know. But it's go therefore, and taking with it all that compassion, that unlimited compassion. That's it.
Thank you, guys. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you guys for your work.
Come and visit.
We're down the road,
Coffee.
literally,
Make
man.
good coffee. I know you guys make good coffee. We know. But when you don't have baristas, you ring us, and we send ours. Yeah. Thank you.
We'll just before we do some announcements, we'll just stand up for a quick prayer.